The Morning Routines of Peak Performers. Episode 87 of the Peak Performance Podcast explores the sacred hours before dawn when legends are made and champions are forged. This episode delves into the morning rituals of extraordinary individuals across sports, entertainment, and military excellence, revealing how the first hours of each day become the foundation for sustained greatness. Introduction. The power of morning rituals. Your morning is not just the beginning of your day, it is the architect of your entire life. The way you structure those precious first hours determines whether you will merely react to the world around you or proactively shape your destiny. Peak performers understand this fundamental truth with crystal clarity, which is why they guard their morning routines with fierce dedication. Throughout history, the most successful athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and military leaders have recognized that morning habits set the tone for everything that follows. These rituals are not arbitrary collections of activities, but carefully designed systems that prime the mind, energize the body, and align the spirit with purpose. When you win the morning, you create momentum that carries through every challenge and opportunity the day presents. The consistency and discipline embedded in a structured morning routine create a psychological foundation that transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary performers. This is not about following someone else's blueprint exactly, but understanding the principles that make morning routines so powerful and then customizing them to align with your unique goals, values, and aspirations. What makes morning routines essential? Consistency creates confidence. When you show up for yourself every morning without fail, you build unshakable self trust. This daily commitment to your routine becomes proof that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself, which translates into confidence in every area of life. Discipline compounds daily. Each morning you choose discipline over comfort, you are making a deposit in your future success account. These small acts of willpower accumulate over time, creating the mental toughness required to achieve extraordinary goals. Control before chaos. The morning is the only time when you have complete control before the demands of the world flood in. By establishing your routine first, you anchor yourself in what matters most before external pressures attempt to dictate your agenda. The psychological benefits of a consistent morning routine extend far beyond the obvious advantages of productivity and focus. When you establish and maintain a morning ritual, you are fundamentally rewiring your brain to operate at a higher level. Neuroscience shows that repetitive positive behaviors create neural pathways that make excellence increasingly automatic rather than effortful. High achievers across all domains share common themes in their morning approaches, regardless of their specific activities. They prioritize clarity through some form of mindfulness or reflection. They generate energy through physical movement. They cultivate the right mindset through practices that connect them to their purpose and vision. These three elements form the foundation of virtually every peak performer's morning routine. Military excellence. Military morning rituals. The military culture has produced some of the most disciplined morning routines on the planet, and for good reason. In environments where split second decisions can mean the difference between life and death, the mental toughness and physical readiness developed through morning rituals becomes non negotiable. Military leaders understand that winning the morning is winning the battle before it even begins. The concept of extreme ownership, popularized by Navy SEALs, starts with owning your morning. When you take complete responsibility for how you begin each day, you establish a psychological pattern of accountability that extends to every decision and action throughout your life. This is not about perfection, but about showing up consistently and refusing to negotiate with the voice in your head that wants to hit the snooze button. Military morning routines emphasize the principle that comfort is the enemy of growth. By deliberately choosing discomfort first thing in the morning, whether through cold showers, intense physical training, or mental challenges, you build the resilience required to thrive under pressure. This morning discomfort becomes a daily reminder that you are capable of far more than your mind initially believes. David Goggins, Forging an Unbreakable Mind. David Goggins, the ultramarathon runner and former Navy SEAL, has become legendary for his extreme approach to morning discipline. His routine typically begins at 4 in the morning, a time when most people are still deep in sleep and dreaming of comfort. This is precisely why Goggins chooses this hour. He's training his mind to embrace what others avoid, and his mornings center on intense physical workouts that would break most people, not because the physical transformation is the primary goal, but because the mental conditioning that results is invaluable. Goggins talks about the concept of the accountability mirror, where he confronts himself first thing each morning and asks brutally honest questions about whether he is living up to his potential or making excuses. The Goggins approach is not for everyone, but the principle is universal. Your morning routine should challenge you beyond your perceived limitations. It should be difficult enough that completing it gives you genuine pride and sets a standard of excellence for everything that follows. When you push through the early morning resistance, you prove to yourself that you are not controlled by feelings but by commitment to your goals. Jocko Willink, leadership begins at dawn. The 4:30 wake up. Every single day without exception, regardless of how he feels or what happened the day before. This consistency is a statement of self-discipline and personal leadership. Immediate physical training, no negotiation, no warm up to the day. Direct transition from sleep to intense physical activity that shocks the system awake and builds mental toughness. Ownership of the day. By completing something difficult before most people wake, he has already won. The rest of the day becomes an opportunity to build on that early victory. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL commander and leadership expert, has made his morning routine famous through social media posts, showing his watch at 4:30 in the morning with a simple message: it is time to get after it. This is not about bragging, but about accountability and inspiring others to take control of their mornings. The Willink philosophy centers on the idea that discipline equals freedom. When you discipline yourself to wake early and do what needs to be done, you create freedom throughout the rest of your day. You're not scrambling, not reactive, not controlled by circumstances. You have already established momentum and can now leverage that throughout every hour that follows. His approach emphasizes that motivation is unreliable and often absent, especially in the early morning hours. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation fails. By building the habit of showing up regardless of how you feel, you develop the character trait that separates high achievers from everyone else. Your morning routine becomes your declaration of who you are and what you stand for. Athletic excellence. Sports figures who dominate their mornings. The greatest athletes in history share a common understanding that their morning routines provide a competitive advantage that cannot be replicated through talent alone. While others rely on natural ability, champions rely on the compound effect of daily morning rituals that sharpen their minds, strengthen their bodies, and reinforce their mental toughness. These routines become the invisible edge that separates good from legendary. Athletic excellence requires more than physical training. It demands mental clarity, emotional stability, and the ability to perform under immense pressure. Morning routines provide the structure that develops all these qualities simultaneously. When an athlete commits to a rigorous morning practice, they are not just improving their physical skills, but building the psychological resilience that allows them to thrive when championships are on the line. The most interesting aspect of morning routines among elite athletes is not what they do, but why they do it. Every element serves a specific purpose in preparing mind, body, and spirit for peak performance. From hydration protocols to visualization exercises, from meditation to intense training, each component is deliberately chosen to create optimal readiness for the challenges ahead. This intentionality transforms routine activities into powerful performance enhancers. Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality morning. 4 a.m. wake up. While competitors slept, Kobe was already in the gym beginning his first training session of the day, establishing a psychological advantage before others even opened their eyes. First training block. Intense skill work and conditioning from 4 to 6 in the morning, focusing on fundamentals and pushing his body beyond normal limits. Brief rest period. Time for recovery, nutrition, and mental preparation before his teammates even arrive for scheduled practice. Second training session. When team practice began, Kobe had already completed hours of work, giving him another training session while maintaining full engagement with the team. Kobe Bryant's legendary work ethic was built on a foundation of extreme morning discipline that became the stuff of NBA legend. His 4 a.m. wake up call was not just about getting extra practice time, but about developing a mentality that refused to be outworked by anyone. The Mamba mentality started each day with a choice to do more than required, to push harder than expected, to achieve more than others believed possible. Stories of Kobe's morning routines inspire because they demonstrate that greatness is not accidental but engineered through daily choices. While others might have similar talent, nobody could match his willingness to sacrifice comfort and sleep for the pursuit of excellence. This commitment to starting earlier, training harder, and preparing more thoroughly created the psychological edge that made him one of basketball's all-time greats. The lesson from Kobe's morning approach is not that everyone needs to wake at 4 a.m., but that peak performance requires doing what others will not do. Your morning routine should push you beyond your comfort zone in ways that align with your goals. When you consistently choose discipline over ease in the morning, you build the character and capability required to achieve extraordinary results in any field. Tom Brady, Scientific Morning Optimization. Hydration Protocol. Tom Brady begins every morning with a precise hydration strategy, drinking 20 ounces of water with electrolytes immediately upon waking. This rehydrates the body after sleep and prepares all systems for optimal performance throughout the day. Nutrient-rich smoothie. A carefully formulated breakfast smoothie provides the exact nutrients his body needs for sustained energy, mental clarity, and physical recovery. Every ingredient is chosen based on its specific performance benefits. Pliability exercises. Unlike traditional stretching, Brady focuses on muscle pliability work that keeps his body resilient and injury resistant. This morning movement primes his muscles for whatever physical demands the day requires. Meditation practice. Mental training through meditation helps Brady maintain the calm focus required for elite quarterback play. This morning mindfulness practice reduces stress and enhances decision making under pressure. Tom Brady's approach to morning routines represents the evolution of athletic excellence into a science. Rather than relying solely on intensity and volume, Brady has optimized every aspect of his morning to support longevity and sustained peak performance. His routine demonstrates that working smarter can be as important as working harder, especially when the goal is maintaining elite performance over decades. What makes Brady's morning routine particularly instructive is its emphasis on preparation and recovery alongside training. He understands that true peak performance comes from balancing stress with recovery, intensity with restoration. His morning hydration, nutrition, pliability work, and meditation all serve to prepare his body and mind while simultaneously helping them recover from previous demands. Entertainment icons. Actors with extraordinary morning habits. The entertainment industry demands extraordinary levels of energy, focus, and resilience. Actors must maintain peak physical condition, memorize vast amounts of material, and deliver emotionally authentic performances despite grueling schedules and constant pressure. The most successful entertainers rely on morning routines to create the foundation for this demanding lifestyle, treating their mornings with the same seriousness that athletes approach their training. What distinguishes entertainment professionals with exceptional morning routines is their understanding that their body and mind are their instruments. Just as a musician would never neglect their instrument, these performers recognize that morning routines are essential maintenance for the tools of their trade. Physical training, mental preparation, and spiritual practices all contribute to their ability to perform at the highest level consistently. The morning routines of successful entertainers also reveal how they manage the unique stresses of their profession. Early morning workouts provide an outlet for stress and anxiety before facing the cameras or crowds. Morning meditation and reflection help them maintain authenticity and emotional balance despite living in the public eye. These practices are not luxuries, but necessities for sustaining success in an industry that can be both rewarding and relentless. Mark Wahlberg, extreme dedication to morning excellence. 2:30 a.m. prayer. Wahlberg begins his day with spiritual practice, grounding himself in faith and gratitude before the physical and professional demands begin. This sets an intentional tone for everything that follows. Rigorous workout session. An intense training session that pushes his physical limits and builds the discipline that carries through every other aspect of his day. This early morning effort creates momentum. Cryotherapy recovery. Advanced recovery techniques that reduce inflammation and optimize physical readiness. This commitment to recovery is as important as the training itself for sustained performance. Nutrient dense breakfast. Carefully planned nutrition that fuels both physical and mental performance throughout the demanding days required by his multiple business ventures and entertainment career. Mark Wahlberg's 2:30 a.m. wake-up time has become almost as famous as his acting career, representing an extreme commitment to morning discipline that few can match. His routine is not just about getting more done, but about establishing a psychological edge through sheer willpower and dedication. When you start your day that early by choice, you make a powerful statement about your priorities and work ethic. What makes Wahlberg's approach particularly noteworthy is how he balances intensity with recovery and spiritual practice with physical training. His morning is not just a grind, but a holistic preparation that addresses body, mind, and spirit. The prayer that starts his day provides meaning and perspective. The workout builds strength and discipline, and the recovery protocols ensure sustainability. The lesson from Wahlberg's morning routine is not that everyone should wake at 2:30, but that success requires making choices others find too difficult. His morning represents a commitment to excellence that refuses to accept average or ordinary. When you structure your morning to prioritize what matters most, even when it is uncomfortable, you create the conditions for exceptional achievement. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson morning momentum. Dwayne Johnson typically rises by 4 in the morning, immediately beginning his day with what he calls his anchor activity of intense physical training. This early workout serves multiple purposes beyond physical fitness. It provides personal time before the demands of his businesses, film career, and family begin. It establishes psychological momentum that carries through every challenge the day presents. It reinforces his identity as someone who chooses discipline and effort over comfort and ease. The Rock's morning philosophy emphasizes the importance of doing your most important work before attending to other commitments. By completing his workout first, he ensures that this priority never gets crowded out by the urgent demands that inevitably arise. This principle applies regardless of your specific goals. Identify what matters most and protect time for it in your morning routine before anything else can interfere. Johnson often shares his morning routines on social media, not for attention, but for accountability and inspiration. He understands that when you publicly commit to your morning discipline, you create additional motivation to follow through. His transparency about the effort required for success helps others realize that extraordinary results come from ordinary disciplines, practiced with extraordinary consistency. Philosophy and mindset. Brian Johnson, integrating mind, body, and spirit. Brian Johnson, CEO of Heroic and philosopher of optimal living, brings a unique perspective to morning routines that integrates ancient wisdom with modern performance science. His approach recognizes that peak performance is not just about doing more, but about being more aligned with your deepest values and highest vision. The morning routine becomes a sacred practice that connects daily actions with ultimate purpose. Johnson begins each day with what he calls sacred silence, a period of stillness before the noise of the world floods in. This quiet time allows for reflection, connection with something greater than himself, and alignment with his core values. In a world that constantly demands our attention and action, this morning silence becomes a revolutionary act of reclaiming inner peace and clarity before engaging with external demands. Following his period of silence, Johnson engages in journaling practices that help him clarify intentions, process emotions, and maintain focus on what truly matters. This morning, writing is not just documentation, but active creation of the mindset required for excellence. By articulating his vision and goals each morning, he programs his subconscious mind to work toward those outcomes throughout the day, even when his conscious attention is directed elsewhere. The sacred silence practice. Stillness before action. Beginning the day in complete silence allows the mind to settle and find its natural clarity. This is not wasted time, but essential preparation that makes all subsequent action more focused and effective. In the stillness, you connect with your deepest wisdom. Emotional centering. Morning silence provides space to process emotions and release anxiety before it can build momentum. This emotional regulation in the morning creates stability that lasts throughout the day, regardless of external circumstances. Values alignment. In the quiet morning moments, you can reconnect with what matters most and ensure your daily actions align with your deepest values. This alignment creates meaning and prevents the drift into busyness without purpose. Morning movement and mental energy. After his mindfulness practice, Brian Johnson transitions to physical movement, typically a run or workout designed to energize both body and mind. This combination of mental and physical preparation creates a synergy that neither practice alone could achieve. The movement following meditation integrates the clarity gained in stillness with the energy required for action, creating optimal readiness for peak performance. Johnson's approach to morning exercise emphasizes that physical movement is not just about fitness, but about generating the mental and emotional energy required for a demanding day. When you move your body vigorously in the morning, you increase blood flow to the brain, release endorphins that improve mood, and create a sense of accomplishment that builds confidence for whatever challenges lie ahead. The integration of spiritual practice, mental preparation, and physical training in Johnson's morning routine represents a holistic approach to peak performance. Rather than viewing these as separate activities, he recognizes them as interconnected elements that together create optimal human functioning. This comprehensive morning preparation addresses every dimension of your being, ensuring that you show up fully present and capable throughout your day. What makes Johnson's philosophy particularly valuable is his emphasis on sustainable excellence rather than burnout inducing intensity. His morning routine creates energy rather than depleting it, establishes clarity rather than adding stress, and reinforces values rather than compromising them. This sustainable approach allows for peak performance not just for days or weeks, but for decades of consistent excellence. Common threads among peak performers. Early rising. Almost universally, peak performers wake earlier than necessary to gain control over their day before external demands begin. This early start provides psychological advantage and uninterrupted time for priorities. Physical movement. Exercise or physical activity appears in nearly every morning routine, generating energy and building discipline. Movement is recognized as essential for both physical and mental performance. Mindfulness practice. Meditation, journaling, or reflection helps establish mental clarity and emotional stability. This inner work creates the foundation for focused and purposeful action throughout the day. Non-negotiable consistency. Peak performers maintain their routines regardless of feelings or circumstances. This consistency builds trust with themselves and creates the discipline that extends to all areas of life. The psychology of morning momentum. Understanding why morning routines work requires examining the psychology of momentum and how early wins create positive cascades throughout your day. When you complete something challenging or meaningful first thing in the morning, you create proof that you are capable and disciplined. This evidence becomes psychological fuel that powers you through subsequent challenges and decisions. The concept of decision fatigue helps explain why morning routines are so powerful. Every decision you make throughout the day depletes a finite reservoir of willpower. By automating your morning through routine, you preserve that willpower for the important decisions and challenges that will arise later. Peak performers do not waste mental energy deciding whether to work out or what to eat for breakfast. These decisions are already made, freeing cognitive resources for more important matters. Morning routines also leverage the psychological principle of identity reinforcement. Each time you follow through on your routine, you strengthen your identity as someone who is disciplined, committed, and capable of achieving difficult goals. This identity becomes self fulfilling as you naturally make choices throughout the day that align with this stronger sense of self. You become the type of person who follows through, who does hard things, who prioritizes what matters most. The biological reality of cortisol and circadian rhythms also supports the effectiveness of morning routines. Your body naturally experiences a cortisol spike in the early morning, providing natural energy and alertness if you leverage it through rising early and engaging in challenging activities. By aligning your routine with your body's natural rhythms, you work with your biology rather than against it, creating sustainable high performance. Winning the morning. Discipline creates freedom. The discipline side. Waking early when you want to sleep, exercising when you want to rest, meditating when you want to scroll, eating nutritious food when you crave comfort, following your plan when feelings suggest otherwise. This is the discipline that peak performers embrace. Every act of morning discipline is a vote for the person you want to become. Each time you choose your routine over your impulses, you build the character required for extraordinary achievement. This daily practice of discipline transforms who you are at the deepest level. The freedom it creates. When you win the morning through discipline, you create freedom throughout the rest of your day. Freedom from regret about wasted time. Freedom from the stress of feeling unprepared. Freedom from being controlled by circumstances and emotions. The freedom that comes from morning discipline allows you to show up fully present in every moment, confident in your preparation, clear in your purpose, and resilient in the face of challenges. This is the paradox peak performers understand. Discipline equals freedom. Implementation guide. Designing your peak performance morning. Creating a morning routine that drives peak performance is not about copying someone else's schedule, but about designing a personalized system that aligns with your unique goals, values, and circumstances. The most effective morning routine is one that you will actually maintain consistently, not the most impressive routine you can imagine. Start with what is achievable and gradually build toward your ideal morning as the habits become established. The first step in designing your routine is getting brutally honest about your current morning habits and identifying what is not serving you. Most people wake up reactive, immediately checking their phones and allowing other people's priorities to dictate their attention from the first moment of consciousness. This reactive start creates a pattern of reactivity that continues throughout the day. Breaking this pattern begins with intentionally choosing how you will spend your first waking moments. Consider the three core elements that appear in virtually every peak performer's morning: physical movement, mental clarity practice, and alignment with purpose. Your specific activities within these categories should reflect your goals and preferences, but incorporating all three elements ensures comprehensive preparation. Physical movement generates energy, mental clarity practices create focus, and purpose alignment ensures your efforts are directed toward what matters most. The key to successful implementation is starting small and building gradually. If you currently wake at 8 a.m., do not attempt to suddenly start waking at 4:30. Begin by waking just 15 minutes earlier and using that time for one simple practice. As this becomes comfortable, add another 15 minutes and another element. This gradual approach creates sustainable change rather than unsustainable bursts of motivation that quickly fade. Essential questions for alignment. What are my most important long-term goals? Your morning routine must directly support your biggest aspirations. Identify your top 3 to 5 life goals and ensure your morning includes at least one activity that moves you toward each of these outcomes. What time must I begin my day to accomplish my priorities before other demands arise? Calculate backwards from when your day becomes reactive to determine when you need to wake. Add time for your desired morning activities plus a buffer for the unexpected. What physical movement energizes me and builds the fitness my goals require? Choose exercise you genuinely enjoy or that directly supports your objectives. Sustainability comes from activities that feel rewarding rather than purely punishing, though they should still challenge you. What mental practices help me achieve clarity and emotional stability? Meditation, journaling, visualization, prayer, or reading philosophy can all serve this purpose. Experiment to discover what creates the mental state you need for peak performance. How do I want to feel as I begin each day? Define the emotional state you want to create through your morning routine. Energized and focused, calm and centered, inspired and purposeful. Design activities that generate these feelings. Building your routine. More critical questions. What is currently preventing me from having the morning I want? Identify the obstacles honestly. Going to bed too late, hitting snooze repeatedly, checking your phone immediately, morning chaos with family. Understanding barriers allows you to design solutions. What can I prepare the night before to make my morning routine easier? Laying out workout clothes, preparing breakfast ingredients, setting up your meditation space, and establishing a bedtime that allows adequate sleep all make morning success more likely. What is the minimum viable routine I can commit to starting immediately? Yeah. Rather than designing the perfect routine, identify the smallest version you can begin today. 5 minutes of movement, 2 minutes of breathing, 1 page of journaling. Start there. How will I measure success and track my consistency? Create a simple tracking system that provides accountability. A calendar where you mark successful mornings, a journal where you record how you feel after completing your routine, or an accountability partner who expects updates. Alignment questions for peak performance. Does my morning routine reflect my values? If you value family, but your routine creates morning chaos, there is misalignment. If you value health, but your routine includes no movement, there is disconnect. Ensure your morning actions match your stated values. Am I including practices that develop my weaknesses? If you struggle with discipline, your routine should include something difficult. If you lack patience, include meditation. If you avoid discomfort, include cold exposure. Use your morning to build what you lack. Does my routine energize or deplete me? While your morning should challenge you, it should ultimately create energy rather than exhaustion. If you consistently feel drained rather than energized, adjust the intensity or duration of activities. Can I maintain this routine on weekends and during travel? True peak performers maintain consistency regardless of circumstances. Design a routine flexible enough to adapt to different situations while maintaining core elements. Consider abbreviated versions for challenging days. What would I need to change to wake 30 minutes earlier? This question forces honest assessment of nighttime habits. Most people can find 30 minutes by eliminating unproductive evening activities. Going to bed earlier creates morning opportunity without sacrificing sleep. How does my morning routine compound over weeks, months, and years? Now, think long term about the cumulative impact of your morning choices. Small daily investments create massive returns over time. What will 1 year of consistent morning discipline create in your life? Implementation strategy. Your first 30 days. The first month of establishing a new morning routine is the most critical period. During these initial weeks, you're not just building habits, but overcoming years of existing patterns and the brain's natural resistance to change. Success during this phase requires both commitment and compassion, pushing yourself consistently while also acknowledging that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Week 1 should focus on simply waking at your chosen time without worrying about completing an elaborate routine. Set multiple alarms, place your alarm across the room so you must physically get out of bed to turn it off and immediately expose yourself to bright light. The goal is to establish the wake time before adding complexity. Celebrate simply getting up as a victory. Week 2 introduces one keystone habit, ideally physical movement, since exercise has the most immediate impact on energy and mood. This does not need to be an hour-long workout. 10 minutes of jumping jacks, push ups, and stretching can be enough to activate your body and create momentum. The consistency matters more than the duration or intensity at this stage. Week 3 adds a mental clarity practice like meditation, journaling, or reading inspirational material. Start with just 5 minutes. Sit quietly and focus on your breathing. Write 3 things you are grateful for and one intention for the day, or read one page of philosophy. This mental component balances the physical practice and begins developing the inner game required for sustained excellence. Week 4 focuses on refinement and troubleshooting. What is working well? What feels forced or unsustainable? What adjustments would make your routine more effective or enjoyable? This is when you customize based on your experience rather than theory. Perhaps you discover you prefer evening workouts but love morning meditation. Honor what you learn about yourself and adjust accordingly. Throughout this first month, track your consistency and how you feel on days when you complete your routine versus days when you skip it. This data becomes powerful motivation as you notice patterns. Most people report significantly better energy, mood, focus, and productivity on days that begin with their routine. This evidence reinforces the habit more effectively than willpower alone. The long game, sustaining peak performance. Peak performance is not a sprint, but a marathon, and your morning routine is not a temporary project, but a lifelong practice. The individuals we have discussed in this episode have maintained their morning disciplines for years and decades, not weeks and months. This consistency is what transforms good into great and great into legendary. Sustaining your routine requires viewing it not as a chore, but as a gift you give yourself. This perspective shift changes everything. When you recognize that your morning routine is the foundation for everything you want to achieve and become, you protect it fiercely. It is not something you do when convenient, but something you prioritize above nearly everything else because of the cascading benefits it creates. Expect challenges and setbacks. There will be mornings when you sleep through your alarm, weeks when travel disrupts your routine, and periods when motivation wanes. These are not failures, but opportunities to demonstrate commitment. Peak performers distinguish themselves not by never missing, but by how quickly they return to their routine after disruptions. One missed morning does not erase weeks of consistency unless you allow it to become the new pattern. Consider building in periodic reviews where you assess and evolve your routine. Every 3 months, reflect on whether your morning practices still align with your current goals and circumstances. As you grow and your life changes, your routine should evolve while maintaining core principles. This flexibility within structure allows for sustained engagement rather than boredom or stagnation. Remember that the goal is progress, not perfection. Some mornings will feel effortless and inspiring. Other mornings will require grinding through resistance and fatigue. Both types of mornings matter. The effortless mornings remind you why the routine is worth maintaining. The difficult mornings build the character and discipline that separate peak performers from everyone else. Show up consistently regardless of how you feel, and you will develop the unshakable foundation required for sustained excellence. Your morning, your destiny. We've journeyed through the morning routines of legends across sports, entertainment, military excellence, and philosophical wisdom. From David Goggins pushing through pre-dawn darkness to Tom Brady optimizing every element of his morning for longevity. From Mark Wahlberg rising at 2:30 to Brian Johnson integrating spiritual practice with physical training. Each of these peak performers understands a fundamental truth. How you spend your morning determines how you spend your life. The specific activities in your routine matter less than the principles they represent. Consistency over intensity, discipline over motivation, purpose over distraction, progress over perfection. When you structure your morning around these principles, customized to your unique goals and circumstances, you create the foundation for achieving anything you genuinely commit to accomplishing. Your morning routine is not about becoming someone else or copying another person's schedule. It is about becoming the fullest expression of who you are capable of being. It is about taking complete ownership of the only time in your day when you have full control before the world makes its demands. It is about proving to yourself daily that you are someone who keeps commitments, does hard things, and prioritizes what matters most. The beautiful truth about morning routines is that they are available to everyone. You do not need special equipment, expensive programs, or permission from anyone. You simply need to make a decision and then honor that decision consistently. Every morning presents a fresh opportunity to reinforce your identity as someone who is committed to excellence, discipline, and continuous growth. Start tomorrow. Set your alarm 30 minutes earlier than usual. Prepare tonight so morning is easier. Choose one simple practice, perhaps 5 minutes of movement or 3 minutes of quiet reflection. Complete it and notice how you feel. Build from there, gradually and consistently until you have crafted a morning routine that energizes your body, clarifies your mind, and aligns your spirit with your highest aspirations. The morning routines of peak performers reveal that greatness is not accidental but engineered through daily choices. The legends we have discussed did not stumble into excellence. They built it deliberately, one morning at a time, through routines that transformed ordinary days into extraordinary lives. This same transformation is available to you. Your morning is waiting, your potential is calling. The only question is whether you will answer by setting your alarm and showing up for yourself tomorrow morning, ready to begin building the life you imagine through the daily practice of morning excellence. The trajectory of your entire life can change by changing how you spend the first hour of each day. This is not hyperbole, but the proven path that peak performers across every field have walked before you. Now it is your turn. Win your morning, win your day, win your life.